Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we're so pleased to have back in the studio a return appearance, our National Academy of Athletics, joined by Adrian Lawrence. He's the co-owner and director of operations. How you doing, Adrian?
I'm doing great. I'm thrilled to be here, Drew. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How long have you been involved with the Academy?
So far for the Academy, I've been involved 6 months.
6 months, right?
We started off in March. We went up to San Francisco to sign the contract, but
nice.
It's been a fun ride so far.
Very good. I'm joined by my guest co-host, Veda Weissman. She's a senior at San Diego State University in the major, where I was way before there was running water. No, there was running water. Trust me, when I was at San Diego State. Journalism and media studies. At the time, it was journalism when I was there. So we're thrilled to have Veda on, and she has a question for you right out of the gate.
Yeah. Hi, Adrian. I'm curious about what is the mission of the National Academy of Athletics?
Well, our mission is pretty clear and it's pretty straightforward. It's fostering a healthy and active lifestyle while serving the needs of our community through positive sports and experience. That looks a lot of different ways to be able to foster a healthy lifestyle, but we believe that it starts from being active at a young age and being able to have enjoyment from playing the sports. And some of us, I'm sure, will have coaches that we look back at, in our past, or people that has had positive impact on us that's allowed us to live a healthy lifestyle, or a lifestyle that we're proud of. And that's what we're looking to promote at a young age.
What sport did you play?
I did college track and field. So I went to University of Connecticut.
UConn, go Huskies.
Go Huskies.
Yeah. What was your event?
My event was a long jump, triple jump, and high jump.
Oh, wow.
So all the things that ruin your knees.
How high was your high jump?
My high jump was 6'6" was my highest jump.
Oh, my goodness. How about long jump?
Long jump, 24 feet.
Triple jump?
Triple jump was my worst, but I would say 48.2 was my record.
So, I fortunate enough, I grew up around the UCLA campus. My father taught medicine there, so I used to go to all the UCLA track meets. And at the time, UCLA would always win national championships with USC. Oh, yeah. And they would have these guys that were, Willie Banks was a very famous triple jumper out of Oceanside. I'm sure he had the world record at one time, 55 feet. Is that right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Exactly. Of course, Bob Beeman in the long jump at 29 feet in the 68 Olympics. Now, are you a sports person, Veda?
Yes, I'm a huge sports girl. I'm mainly soccer, though. I played soccer my entire life. I was a striker. They called me Tank on the field, super fast. Yeah, love soccer.
So soccer is actually my passion. So growing up in high school, I played soccer for all 4 years. It just so happened the sport that wanted me at the next level was track and field. So track was always a practice for soccer, working on my speed and my technique. And it just so happened to kind of take off. But yes, I'm right there with you. Number 9.
I was number 11.
You're number 11. Okay. Yeah. Usually the strikers are number 9. I was at number 9.
Hey.
Yeah. So.
No, that's great. Did you ever think about playing soccer at UConn?
So UConn, number one, Division I school, it was very difficult to come on. So with my freshman year when I was doing track and field,
right.
I explored the intramural side of it.
Right.
But what cut my collegiate career short was having to get a knee surgery, which kind of cut everything from intramural to, for the team freshman year. So that was my second surgery. I've yet since have another one. So
wow.
three knee surgeries. I'm done with the jumping for a little bit.
I was gonna say that's great. Now, where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school in Connecticut. So Farmington, Connecticut.
All right.
Farmington High.
And how many sports did you play in high school?
High school was just the 3 sports. So soccer in the fall, indoor track in the winter, and outdoor track in the spring.
Very good. Fada's got another question for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are some topics that you would like to talk about in the interview?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you again for giving me this platform. Just a couple of things I would just like to, be able to communicate with the community around, building community through sports, and the importance of, bridging gaps in our community with sports, and also just the power of play, the impact that play can have on our students in terms of their social abilities, their educational skills, and overall just character over competition, which is a big focus for us at NAFA, is really being able to focus on the skill and development and the enjoyment of the sport rather than going home a winner or going home a loser.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I love talking to Aaron about, Aaron Lawrence, your colleague with National Academy of Athletics, it's just getting out there and playing. Mm-hmm. And Aaron and I are a little bit older than both of you folks, to say the least. But when I was younger, and the same with Aaron, everyone played. You were gone. It's a different era. I got it. It's a different era. But during the summer, from 8 a.m. until 6 or 7 at night, we bring our baseball bat and mitts, our football, our basketball, and we were gone playing every single day in the summer, which you don't see anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's kind of what my background has given the opportunity for that, because I grew up in Jamaica. I moved here when I was 13 years old. So going back home and, being a part of, we go back, my family go back at least once every 2 years. That is still the life. That's still the way of life. Granted, technology and the screens.
Exactly.
And, you can't really, kind of avoid that. But being in such a rural place that I grew up, kids are still geared to going outside. They're given that independence, and not only do the parents trust them, but the kids know that they're given that opportunity, so they're using it positively. They're not, the kids are safe, and the parents have a safe mind. So I think that's kind of a little bit of my culture that I come here and I try to bring in, and I'm very passionate about just bringing in that opportunity. And it's a battle that I don't think is gonna get any easier, fighting against screens and children that are so many other distractions. But for the end of time, it will always be play.
You're 100% correct, and there's so much evidence out there and research about the development of the brain. Okay, the development, obviously, of the body physically and what it does for you. With the endorphins and everything else. That staring in front of a screen, you're already doing that at school, and now you come home and you do it again. Okay, for X amount. And it does help in certain areas. That's fine, but I think we should have shut down your digital device year, and go out and play. And fortunately, that's how I grew up, and I don't miss 1 second of it. And that's how my daughter grew up, and she's youngish, and so she said, you know what, I can look at the screen anytime I'm like. Brandon, my associate producer, has met Samantha a bunch of times. She played. And I didn't force her to do it. She could do whatever she wants. But she said, no, I'm going to play. And she did. That's all she did is play. We're chatting with Adrian Lawrence. He is the co-owner and director of operations for the National Academy of Athletics. He is working with Aaron Lawrence, frequent guest on our Spotlight show. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 60-plus years, doing great things in the community, whether it's food insecurity, whether it's art, whether it's financial literacy. Honored to have as my guest co-host, Veda Weissman. She's a senior at San Diego State, majoring in journalism and media studies. We're both Aztecs for life.
Yeah.
And my daughter was an Aztec as well on this. I want to get back to something for a couple of minutes, then we'll chat about it more after break, but we can start with you right now on this, Adrian. Talk about character over competition, and it is so great that you emphasize that.
Yeah. So, our program is designated for children that are, learning a sport. So you might already, be a part of a pretty, professional, or not professional, but pretty somewhat organized competitive sport. Maybe you're part of a travel soccer team, or you're playing in another sport. you can still be a part of our program learning a different sport. National Academy of Athletics, we provide a multitude of different sports that we can offer for our children. So it really doesn't really cater for the top athletes, such the 1% of the 1% that go professional. That's great. There's other programs that kind of suits that need and that parent commitment. However, our program is built for children to gain that confidence in a sport, gain that confidence not only in a sport, but being around other friends, being around other peers, learning about, following the directions from somebody else that's not their caregiver or their teacher. So those character skills are important not only for sports, but also for any facet of life that, that the road may take this child, whether it's, music, art, culinary, education, regardless of every avenue, having those developmental character skills that you can get from sports of, like I mentioned, learning from, following directions from somebody that's not your caregiver, having somebody that you can provide instructions for you that you can follow, certain fundamental skills that, like I said, regardless of whether it's radio or TV, these are skills that are important to develop. And, it's right now we see that some areas kind of expect them to happen naturally. And they're wondering, I talk to parents all the time and they're like, yeah, they still don't get that, that they don't have to win every time, or they don't have to run at be the first person at the line, or have to be, so those things don't come naturally. They have to take somebody that is willing to, break down some of those concepts for them and really emphasize why these concepts are important, why it's important to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, to be comfortable losing, to be comfortable, being, not, having kids around you that are a little bit more, comfortable with the sport and you're not. So it's that character development is a huge part of what we do. We're in a very, right now our programs are in middle school where elementary schools where, working with the TK through fifth, it is such a crucial age to be able to develop these skills. You see teachers that are working on it during our classroom and really emphasizing the character over, for our TKs or kindergarten, it's, not necessarily how well you can hold a pen, but how comfortable you are working in a group with other people. So that's really what we try to do. And even up to fifth grade, and, some of our camps go up to, 12, 13, where it's still that concept, you can kind of tell that it wasn't developed at a young age of that, where there's still, something, they miss a swing on a baseball and it's, you see some of that breakdown and you see some of that uncomfortability with not having things go your way. So, I've seen how that can develop into later life skills when it comes to working in the classroom or starting their first jobs. So, like I said, we're using the drive, the vehicle of sports. However, our goal is to develop characters and really work on those skills to be able to they can succeed in wherever they
Right. We come back from break. I want to hit that point again because, one of the great life lessons is knowing how to get up when you skin your knee and you fall down. As Yvetta knows, being a soccer player and you being a track athlete, obviously, when you get into the real world, you will learn more from your failures than you will from your successes. Mm-hmm. When we return with Adrian Lawrence, co-owner and director of operations for the National Academy of Athletics. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast. We are in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things in our region. Honored to have in the studio with us today our friends from the National Academy of Athletics. We got Adrian Lawrence, who's a co-owner and the director of operations. My very, very cool guest co-host is Veda Weissman. She's a senior at San Diego State and majoring in journalism and media studies. Want to get back to what we were talking about before, Adrian, before Veda has another question for you, and that is those life lessons you're talking about. Listen, teaching character, because you're going to be with character your whole life. You may not be playing soccer when you're 85. Maybe you will. Who knows? But you will be in the workforce, and you will be working with other people, whether it's in journalism, where Veda is a major. What was your major, by the way, at UConn?
My major was human development and family studies, and I minored in women's and gender studies.
Oh, interesting. Okay, which puts you perfect for this position as well in this area. But talk about, again, that you learn more from your failures sometimes than you do your successes, and learning how to sit there and accept failure is just as important.
Yeah, so I think something that I feel like is missed a lot when I'm working with children is being able to break things down to their level. It's the why. I think of adults, it's hard to understand that, hey, like we need to also explain the why this is an issue, or why this is being able to understand, break it down for the children. So one thing that we do in our program is, when we do see those moments where a child is struggling because of, a lack of, what we just consider strength in a sports, but really being able to, come next to them and really understand why they're going through that difficult time. I think as adults, and I'm not a parent, but I see it in my classes where it's like, okay, like no, just move on. You missed. Let's go on to somebody else. But really, just understanding the fact that like if they're going up to try, that is a success right there. So the fact of the matter is, especially for baseball, I'm not a baseball player, but you're gonna strike out more than you hit for baseball. So it's really getting a chance to encourage the children and really, reward them for trying, reward them for giving it an effort. And granted, there's definitely different levels of children that you're rewarding. We call it, differential reinforcement, where you are rewarding based on the level of effort, and each child is different. So being able to, maybe you have a child that is a little bit more comfortable in the sport and they're doing great. You're challenging them and you're really giving them a bar to aim for. However, for our children that are really just working on the comfortability with the sport, it's really important to be able to just be able to still reward and give, encouragement for the attempt. Because the attempt, you're not going to be successful if you're not at least attempting. So that's what we see. And a lot of our children are just so young and new at the sport. So being able to reward the attempt is the first key to be able to, for that level of success.
If you don't try, you don't succeed in all that business. Veda, you got another question for our good friend Adrian?
Yes, I do. First off, I love hearing you talk. This is like awesome because I played soccer and I can relate so much to everything you're saying. Tell us a little bit about how important the power of play is.
Yeah, so the power of play is something that working with our schools right now. Right now we're in our fall programs where we're working with our after school programs. We partner with PTA committees, foundations, ESS, early extended services at school, where we work with them in a place where, it's important to be able to understand that the play, being able to have a space and an outlet to be able to have a social engagement, have a focus, have a drive, will be translated back into the educational sphere. It's not just they're out there, they're running around. I'm babysitting for an hour, let them get their energies out, go back to mom and dad. No, it's a place where really they're developing their coordination. They're developing, problem solving when looking at different obstacles that may, a simple game as capture the flag. I was playing with our students at Digman Elementary on Tuesday, and there's just so much, teamwork, coordination, things that are important for, as I mentioned before, not only in, as they get older, but the teachers are going to see the benefit of that too. We hear teachers that are excited because their child has an opportunity to have an outlet where they can work on these skills that are concept in a class, but in a method that is fun for them. It's kind of like how, teachers are giving, math problems in like video games, kind of sort of. It's kind of, they're working on the skill, but they're doing it in a way that's, that's more engageable and relatable for the kids. And I feel like that's what the sports offer as well. When it comes to, like I said, coordination, recall, working in as a group setting, those things are just fundamental through play. And, it's not just just out there and just running around. It's so much more than that. So the parents that are, that see that, they have kids that have gone through programs before and they see the impact of that. But for a new parent, it might not be very obvious. You're like, hey, no, they're going to get that in school. They're going to, that's what the teachers are for. That's what
they're not. They need the sports for sure.
Exactly. And, I've seen it where a teacher can say something, a parent can say something, but then my coach will say the exact same thing. That child, it just clicks with the coach, just something about that role and something about that responsibility. And, so it's, yeah.
Well, I'm going to add this to it.
Yes.
And I think both you guys might know it's the same thing being a parent. And so you can tell your kid this thing 4 billion times, but it's the person down the street that said, you know what I just learned today? I mean, the thing I've been talking about for the last 7 years.
Yes.
And you know what? As long as they learn it, and that's fine. Adrian, talk a little bit about how sports is so good to relieve the unbelievable mental crisis we're in this country, in this world now. There's no question we have seen epidemics in mental health that we've never seen before.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think the clearest, start of this, which is not really the start, but it goes back so much further. But you can kind of draw a correlation between, COVID, where, kids were at home. They were in a place where, parents are trying to figure out life for themselves, firstly. And then, you have kids that are at home, they don't have that social support. They don't have a social network. They don't have a place where just the normalcy is off. So, what we saw the nation saw as a big uptick from that period is, the rise in mental health, circumstances for not only our adults, which it also grew in that stage as well, but also for our younger children as well. The feeling of, lack of self-worth, a feeling of isolation, of not having a community, of not having structure. These are things that are important for any child to develop, because it's important to be able to have these as a part of your life. So, we did see our children that are coming to us that are, when we first started our programs, that are so used to being on the screens and having a break from that and kind of coming out of that realm of, no, like we go to school, we go home, we're on the screen, we eat dinner, we go to bed. And it's like, no, now we're doing sports. And it was a little bit of a shift to getting a lot of kids out of their shell. However, we do see that parents are reporting that because of their sports that they're doing, the children just have a higher percentage of self-worth and understanding that they have a value that they can provide, whether it's, being a part of a group, in a social group, or just being able to see that, hey, like, I can be good at something. I can be successful, and really getting them out of that social isolation, which I don't know if we're fully out of yet. We still shaking his head. We still want our families to be able to recommit to our programs, not only just our programs, but just extracurriculars in general.
Exactly. Veda, you got one more question?
I do. Yes. I know when I was growing up, there's a lot of kids that didn't want to play the sports and their parents forced them. Is it easy for you to kind of spot which kids are there forced or if they want to be there?
Good question.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think, we see a little bit of a mix. For example, our after school program, we see kids that come out that they're 99% of the time they're excited to be there, because typically our parents are like, hey, like, there's a soccer or basketball after school. Do you want to do soccer, or do you want to do the sport? And it's usually a little bit of a back and forth and a little bit of an agreement. For our summer camps, though, it's a little bit different because parents are, it's like, well, you're home for the summer. I have to work.
Yeah.
You're going to summer camp. So, our summer, we definitely saw a little bit of, that some of that tendencies. I would say 1 out of 15 kids would be like, hey, like, mom or dad are forcing me to be here. So, what we try to do, we try to work with that kid individually. We try to understand what it is that they're motivated by. Is it by, being a part of a group? Some kids, regardless of the sport, they want to be a leader. They want to be the person that's, helping to give the instructions. They want to be a part of, the cleanup crew or whatever it is. It's just really finding that child. Our coaches have an idea of how to spot those childs. It's the kids that are wanting to take the water breaks, a little bit too frequently, or they're, just not as engaged. And, we try to encourage that child to be able to find a space where they belong. Like I said, there is a role on the field for everybody on the court. So it's just really trying to find that child and what makes them tick and what's their reinforcement.
So what's your website so people can help support you?
Yes, absolutely. So our website is National Academy of Athletics. It's one big long word. However, if you go to naofa.com/San Diego, you'll be able to find our San Diego franchise.
Yeah, it is great talking to you. Adrian Lawrence, he is the co-owner and director of operations for the National Academy of Athletics. And just wishing you and Aaron nothing but great work, great support. We want you to come back in, maybe bring in some kids or a family that has benefited from the work on that aspect of it. And Vader Weissman, thank you for being my guest co-host. You've done 2 of these now. Are you enjoying them?
Oh, yes. I love it. And I love talking to you because it brings me back to my days of like playing sports and being like, have that play. Because I feel like now it's hard to find time for that. I still do, but I think play is really important.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by the fine folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things in San Diego County. And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.